I'm just looking here. Hold on one second. 7:34 a.m. on Thursday, April the 25th, and I'm just heading out for one of my first walks, and figured I would pop on here real quick. Let me know if you are watching us live. We are working on a couple of different things here, and I wanted to, and this is something I just decided to do, so this is probably going to be more stream of conscious than anything else. Yesterday, when I was in a restaurant, there was some folks who were there that know I'm a pastor, and it was interesting because one of the things that I was asked was, Bob, what is your biggest challenge at the church? Is it getting more people in there? Is it what exactly? It's like filling the seats. Is it money? Is it people with problems? Like what is it? And I honestly had to think, because when I look at the church, I don't look at it as problems, although there's always a problem to solve. There's always something that needs to be addressed. But I had to really think hard, and I don't know that I actually answered her question the best way possible. But what I said to her is, I said, I think it's not having the show. And she looked at me. She was like, what does that mean? I said, well, we don't have the show. She goes, I don't know what that means. I said, I don't know that I entirely know what it means either, but I'll express it like this. So there are large churches that have massive platforms, massive worship teams. They have sets that they do every week. They have something for everybody. In other words, they have something that will meet everybody's needs at that moment. I jokingly said some of the churches are so large that they have specific classes, or for example, you could find a specific group for someone, let's say, that is blind in one eye. That's somebody just came up behind me. Somebody that is blind in one eye. Let's say this, a male blind in their left eye that owns a basset hound and is between the ages of 30 and 35. And the woman kind of laughed, and I said, but unfortunately, that's what people sometimes are looking for. They're looking to have a need met and not to go to a place to meet a need. In other words, they're looking to be served, and they're not looking to serve. And that's kind of how I articulated it in the moment. It's funny because the church of God's people, that's us, are supposed to be about how do we serve, not how do you serve me. And I realize the conversations that I've had with folks over the years, that's what it's been about. It's been about, how are you going to serve me? What programs do you have for me? How long are your services? I really want really good worship music. There's all these things that people will say that I want. And then there are those that will come in and say, well, I want more from the church. I actually heard that recently. I want more from the church. What does that mean that you want more from the church? I don't even see that in the scriptures, and I would challenge anyone to challenge me on that, and I'd be glad to have a discussion about this with you, because I think that this is the issue that we're often facing. And I'm not making excuses or anything like that. We are who we are, and we don't really, as our church, fit into any specific mold, any particular mold. If you try to cram us into a Baptist mold, it's not there. We're non-denominational, but we have people that attend our church that are still on their search. They could be of a totally different religion, but they know they're welcome there because they're trying to figure this thing out. They're trying to figure out what the spiritual journey is. They're trying to figure out who God is. And so we just try to introduce them from week to week to the God of the Bible. That's what we do. But honestly, it's about serving. It's about how could I serve, not how could I be served. Now, I'm not saying that we should not seek to meet people's needs. I believe that we should. I believe that's something we should be doing all of the time to the best of the ability. But honestly, what the scriptures teach we're supposed to be doing, especially us as leaders, me as a pastor, my job is supposed to be to equip the saints to do the work of the ministry. That's actually the biblical model. The biblical model is found in Ephesians chapter 4. You have to pardon the rooster in the background. That was kind of appropriate. I'm glad we weren't talking about Peter denying Jesus, right? So this sort of a mentality is, I think, when people are attending, I'm not saying everybody that attends a large church is not, or a mega church, let's say, is like that. But and I don't really think that's the case, but I do know when I've talked to people, I've asked them, why do they go? And they go, well, I could go in and go out and be in there unnoticed. I could go and watch a show and I don't have to do anything. And I can go and leave because I'm serving, other places. And I get that. Listen, I entirely get that. The difference now is that things have changed substantially as a result of COVID, so that we can literally watch the show from the comfort of our room and not really have to interact with anybody. Because in the end, it's not about going to church, it's about being the church. And I've been talking about that for years, that we have to get outside the walls. People get, it's amazing. People will, especially in traditional churches, they'll get upset when you start changing the furniture around. They're like, oh my gosh, you're going to do this and you're going to do that to our church. Well, yeah, it's the church building. It's not the church. The church is the people that meets in that building. And so, when I think about this, it's a question of how can I serve, and that's what I really love is that this past week we had a team of people that went to the Dania Beach cleanup for Earth Day. Now listen, we're going to have people that are going to go, Earth Day? Why are we weren't celebrating Earth Day. We were doing a community beach cleanup because we are Community Bible Church. And so I think that, and even though we really didn't get to do a lot of work because the event itself got sort of rained out and things were flooded and whatnot, but you saw people that were there to serve. And sometimes there are people, well, I have physical limitations. I can't serve. Well, pray. There's a lot of people that need you to pray for them. So I think this question, hey, good morning, Karen. This question of what's the biggest challenge that you have in the church? It's having people have a paradigm shift. And I mean people that come to our place and to our particular church. The paradigm shift is not how do you serve me, but how can we serve? How are we going to use the gifts, the talents, the abilities that God has given us to serve other people? Because if not, there's no purpose. If not, there's no reason to be doing other than just going and watching again the show. Now, it's funny because I have been a part of larger churches, some, 800 to 1,000 or more. I think 1,000 is the new mega church. I think that's what they consider a mega church, is 1,000 in attendance on Sunday. Good morning, Claire, or above. And so while I'm not picking at that, I think that, and I'm sorry I'm not looking directly at the camera, I'm trying to watch where I'm going to. I think that when you start to talk about these mega churches and why people are going, the question is, are you going to serve or be served? Listen, I know people that have come to me and said because of certain things, they had family members that weren't allowed to serve. And when I found out what those things were, I was like, but they could serve somewhere else. Like, you're going to tell them they can't serve? No, because we have all of these particular rules that are in place. And so I think that, to me, it's an interesting conundrum, and it's never going to change. And so what this is never going to, you're not going to be able to change people's mentality all the time. And so that's why we just have to be who we are. And that's what I told this woman the other day. I said, look, when people say you do you, we're going to do us. This is, as long as I'm the pastor and God leads me here, this is the direction we're going in. The question is not how can you serve me, but how can we serve together? And that really has to be the thing. Because, I can't certainly, as a pastor, do everything. And there's certain things that I'm not even, the best to do. You start asking me to fix toilets and things like that. Not that that's the job of the pastor, but you start asking me to do that, you're going to be in trouble because I'm just not that handy. But there are things that I'm called to do, and there are things that the people in the church are called to do, specifically in our church. And the other thing is, is that, we have folks online who are serving in so many different ways in their community. So, you may be a member of our online community, and you could be attending another church somewhere else in your area. But additionally, there are those who will watch online, and then they'll be in, say, a Rotary Club, or they'll be in something like that where they are doing community service. And that's a good thing. We should all be finding something that we can do, because if you don't have a purpose and if you don't have a mission, you will, as Zig Ziglar said, become a wandering generality and not a meaningful specific. We all need that kind of meaning in our lives. And so, our goal at Community Bible Church is to try to help people to find that sense of purpose, cut through the confusion, and give them, help them to have that sense of purpose to serve. We were created for community to serve one another. And that's what I think this is all about. And so, if you're looking for a church to do that, then, again, that it's a good place to connect. And I know there's often people that'll say, over the years, I've had people go, Pastor Bob, we ought to do this or that. And what they're saying is that you ought to do this and get somebody else to do it, but this is just the idea. And when I've often said to them, well, tag, you're it. You do that. They look, well, no, I wasn't talking about doing it. I was just saying that I thought it was something we need to do. Okay. Because we've all been created to serve. And so I think this has been enough of a rant about this morning. And I don't want to call it a rant, but it was really a question that I had to think about afterwards. And I thought, well, this is something that maybe we could talk about sort of this morning, just out of the clear blue. We'll leave this up for a little while. We'll see what people have to say about it. I'd love to have your comments. And while you're here, if you're not already subscribed, if you're watching this later, which there's a good chance you will be, if you're watching this later, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you'll know when we're going to be live or when we upload anything to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and everybody have an absolutely wonderful day.